Hey, everybody. My name is Reverend Todd Seelau, and I am the pastor of a church called Exile. And I want to talk with you a little bit about this story that comes from Exodus chapter 32, verses 1 through 8. And the way that the story is set up is that the Israelites are slaves in Egypt, and Moses and Aaron go to Pharaoh and say, "Let my people go." As we'll never forget from Ferris Bueller's Day Off when Cameron says that. And so Pharaoh doesn't want to let the people go because their whole economy is based on having slaves do all this work and all the things that are happening in their fields and all the work that they did. And it was very important to the Egyptians that these slaves were there, or else nothing really worked well. And so God sent plague after plague after plague, locusts and flies and water turned to blood, like lots of things, frogs, and so it took all these plagues for Pharaoh finally to say, "Look, okay, you guys are gonna have to get out, or we're all gonna die here." Like it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and escalating more and more and more. And so in this story, the people are out, the Israelites are out in the wilderness wandering around, and Aaron goes up on the mountain to talk to God. And when Aaron goes up to talk to God, he's gone for a long time, and the people don't know what to do because they don't know where he is. They don't know if he made it up the mountain. They don't know if he made it down the mountain. The idea of God was very, very powerful, and to see God face to face or go commune with God, you could be struck down. And in fact, it has a lot to do with this story, because what the Israelites did here in Exodus chapter 32 is they ask Aaron, "Hey man, can we make some gods to go talk to God for us?" And Aaron's like, "That's a great idea," because that's what they did in Egypt, and that's what they were used to, and that's the culture they came from and what they were comfortable with. And so when we get anxious, when we get scared, we like to do what makes us comfortable. We like to do what we're used to, or do what makes sense to us, right? Because we tell ourselves these stories and tell ourselves these things are true because they make us feel good. And we can all relate to that, because we tend to watch news or listen to people or have friends that think about things the same way we do, because it makes us feel better about the narrative that we are already telling ourselves. And we have so much information right now that we can get anybody to tell us anything that we really want to hear. And so we can relate to the Israelites in this way. And so when the Israelites are struggling with this idea and not knowing where to go and not knowing what to do, and they don't have any direction because Moses was their direction, they had to create these idols in order to take the place of Moses, right? And then they started telling the people, "Hey, these idols are actually who led us out of Egypt," and they started to tell a different story and a different narrative, so that the people would put their faith in these idols, because there was this hierarchy of gods, right, in the Egyptian culture, and these gods would go to these gods, and these gods would go to these gods, and you didn't go all the way up to the top like Moses was doing. And so what they did was very normal, and what they did, I think, if we're very honest with ourselves, which I hope we can be, we can relate to this, because we tend to look at idols as things that are outside or things that somebody else is doing. And so the first thing that really strikes me in this new idea that I'm having about this story is that idols aren't just stuff, right? When I was growing up and I heard this story, my parents would be like, if you play Nintendo too much, that becomes an idol. Now, our cell phones, we're on our cell phones too much, they're an idol. And there's these things, and that's true, but that's a symptom of a deeper problem. And I think that idolatry starts inside, right? We tell ourselves these stories to make us feel better inside, because we don't really want to be honest with ourselves, because the truth hurts. And honesty is really difficult, especially when we're really going to be honest with ourselves. So we look at other things and other people, and we're being like, "That's idolatrous, that's idolatrous, that's an idol, that's an idol, that's an idol." But it's really hard to look in here. And if we really want to be free, which is what this story is all about, the Exodus is about freedom. The people want to be free, but they don't really want to be free, right? They want to be free, but then they want to make gods that are going to go and do the work for them, and they're going to make gods that then they're going to make rules about and everything else and try to control each other just like human beings do. And so it's really important that we understand that we have to start with us. And we have to start inside. So one thing that we do is we look for idols externally instead of internally. But the other thing we do is we hear messages like this and we think about idolatry, or we think about people telling themselves stories, and we think about other people that do that. And we say, oh, so-and-so does that and so-and-so does that. If we tend to like certain politicians, we think the other politicians do that, right? Or if we're liberal, we think conservatives do that. If we're conservative, we think liberals do that. And there's always someone else that's the enemy. But the enemy is right here, is what I'd like to suggest. We are our own enemy, and we are not honest with ourselves. And until we can really be honest with ourselves, we're never going to make the changes that are really going to do something, because we cannot control any of these other people or any of these other idols. All we can control is what's in here. And so I hope you'll join me. I've been doing a lot of work, soul searching, trying to be very honest with who I am and what I think. And I hope that you can join me in that and start with us. Start with the change, right? That we need to make inside ourselves. And then we see that blossom into change that goes out throughout the rest of the world. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate you listening to me. I hope you have a wonderful day.